Dae-hyun had walked into courtrooms before, usually to intimidate witnesses, but never to discover he was about to lose children he didn't know existed. The marble floors of the family courthouse echoed with his footsteps as he adjusted his Tom Ford suit, checking his Patek Philippe watch. He was doing Min-jae a favor, nothing more. His best friend had asked him to show up for some associate's custody hearing, make the family look respectable, flash some corporate credentials. 10 minutes, tops. Then he'd head back to his office where Yuna was waiting to finalize their engagement announcement. The courtroom smelled of old wood and broken families. Dae-hyun slipped into the back gallery, scanning the room with the practiced eye of someone who'd spent years reading threats before they materialized. His gaze landed on a woman standing before the judge, thin, exhausted, but holding herself with a pride that made his chest tighten with recognition. Sienna. The world tilted. 6 years dissolved in a heartbeat. She looked different, thinner, harder around the edges, but it was unmistakably her. The woman he'd loved. The woman his family had forced him to abandon when they'd orchestrated his imprisonment on false charges, using his freedom as leverage to ensure he'd never see her again. A social worker was speaking. Your Honor, Ms. Lee has repeatedly failed to maintain stable housing. In the past 18 months, she's moved 4 times. Her current apartment has been flagged by building inspectors for. I have a job, Sienna interrupted, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. 2 jobs, actually. I work mornings at the bakery and evenings cleaning offices. I've never missed rent. The eviction notice was a mistake. A mistake that's happened twice? The social worker's tone was professionally sympathetic but unyielding. Ms. Lee, no one doubts your love for Aiden and Maya, but love isn't enough. These children need stability. Dae-hyun's mind snagged on the names. Aiden. Maya. His brain was still processing when a small voice shattered his confusion. Appa. The word cut through the courtroom like a blade. A little boy, maybe 6 years old, was pointing directly at Dae-hyun from the front row, his face lit with recognition. The child scrambled off his seat, his sister grabbing at his shirt trying to hold him back. No, Sienna spun around, and her face drained of all color when she saw Dae-hyun. But the boy was already running down the aisle, his small sneakers slapping against the floor. He crashed into Dae-hyun's legs, wrapping his arms around them with the absolute certainty of a child who'd been waiting for this moment. Appa, you came. Mama said you were busy, but you came to court. The judge's gavel cracked against the bench. Order. Ms. Lee, is this man the children's father? Sienna's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Her eyes locked with Dae-hyun's across the courtroom, and in them he saw 6 years of struggle, anger, fear, and something else, desperate, terrified hope. The little girl, Maya, had climbed down from her seat too, moving more cautiously toward him. She had Sienna's eyes but his distinctive eyebrows, the Park family eyebrows that marked every member of his bloodline. She studied him with an intensity that reminded him painfully of his own reflection. You look like our picture, Maya said softly. Dae-hyun's throat closed. He looked down at the boy clinging to his legs, really looked at him. The dimpled smile. The shape of his ears. The exact shade of his own dark eyes staring back at him. The math was simple and devastating. 6 years ago, he'd been forced to leave Sienna. 6 years old now. These children. Your Honor, Dae-hyun heard himself say, his voice carrying the authority he'd learned from years of commanding rooms full of dangerous men. I'm Dae-hyun Park. I'm their father. The courtroom erupted. The social worker was shuffling papers frantically. The judge was calling for order. But Dae-hyun couldn't look away from Sienna, who had tears streaming down her face. Before we find out what Sienna says next, I'm curious, where are you watching this from? Drop your city or country in the comments. Seeing viewers from all over the world reminds us why we love telling these stories. And if you're hooked, hit subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Comment your location and subscribe, it really helps. Why now? She whispered, but in the chaos, he heard her clearly. Why show up now, Dae-hyun? The judge's voice cut through the noise. Mr. Park, were you aware of these children's existence? No, Your Honor. The words felt like shards of glass. But I'm aware now. And you can provide documentation of paternity? Dae-hyun looked at his son. His son, still holding on to him like a lifeline. I can provide whatever is necessary. DNA testing, financial records, housing. He doesn't need to provide anything, Sienna said, her voice breaking. We don't need. Ms. Lee, the judge interrupted, if Mr. Park is indeed the biological father and can provide a stable environment, this court is obligated to consider his involvement. She turned to Dae-hyun. Do you have adequate housing for these children, Mr. Park? I have a 6-bedroom estate in Palisades. Security. Whatever they need. The social worker actually looked relieved. Your Honor, if Mr. Park is willing to take responsibility. I am, Dae-hyun said firmly. He felt Aiden's grip tighten on his leg. I absolutely am. Sienna made a sound like a wounded animal. You don't get to just walk back in. Ms. Lee, the judge said gently, the alternative is temporary foster placement while you secure stable housing. Is that what you want? The fight went out of Sienna visibly. She swayed on her feet, and Dae-hyun had to resist the urge to go to her. She'd been carrying this alone. Fighting alone. Drowning alone. Because of him. Because his family had made sure he could never find her, never help her, never know about the children they'd created together. I need to speak with Mr. Park, Sienna said finally. Privately. The judge nodded. We'll recess for 30 minutes. But understand, Ms. Lee, I need a solution today. These children cannot return to unstable housing. The small conference room they were directed to felt suffocating. Aiden refused to let go of Dae-hyun's hand. Maya stood close to Sienna, watching everything with those two old eyes. The moment the door closed, Sienna turned on him. How dare you? How dare you show up here and act like some kind of savior? Where were you 6 years ago? Where were you when I was pregnant and alone? Where were you when I was giving birth with only a nurse holding my hand? Where were you for every sleepless night, every fever, every time they asked why other kids had daddies and they didn't? Her voice cracked on the last word, and Dae-hyun felt each question like a physical blow. I didn't know, he said quietly. Sienna, I swear to you I didn't know. You left. You just disappeared without a word. I was arrested. The words came out harder than he intended. The day I was supposed to meet you at the cafe, my uncle had me picked up on fabricated charges. Weapons trafficking. They had evidence planted, witnesses paid off. I spent 8 months in prison, and the day I got out, my family made it very clear. If I ever contacted you again, they'd make sure you disappeared. Permanently. Sienna's anger faltered. What? They knew about us. They knew I was planning to leave the family, leave the business. You were my way out, and they couldn't allow that. Dae-hyun's jaw tightened. So they took you away from me. I tried to find you afterward, hired investigators, but you'd moved. Changed your number. I thought you'd moved on. Found someone better. I never imagined. He looked down at Aiden, who was studying him with absolute trust. I never imagined this. I tried to tell you, Sienna whispered. I called your number so many times after I found out I was pregnant. It was disconnected. I went to your apartment, someone else was living there. It was like you'd never existed. My family erased me from that life. Gave me a new number, new place, new everything. All monitored. Dae-hyun ran his free hand through his hair. I'm so sorry, Sienna. For all of it. For not being there. For not protecting you. For not knowing about them. Maya spoke up suddenly. Yama says you were busy being important. She showed us your picture and said you loved us but had big jobs to do. Dae-hyun's eyes snapped to Sienna, who flushed. I wasn't going to let them think they weren't wanted, she said defensively. I told them you were away. Working. That you'd come back when you could. Something in Dae-hyun's chest cracked open. Even hating him, even struggling alone, she'd protected his image to their children. She'd given them a father to believe in rather than one to resent. The judge is right about one thing, he said carefully. They need stability. Let me help. Please. I don't need your charity. It's not charity. They're my children, Sienna. My responsibility. He struggled for the right word. My family. Your family? Sienna laughed bitterly. The same family that threatened to disappear me? You want to bring my children into that? I'm leaving them. The words came out before Dae-hyun had fully processed the decision, but once spoken, he knew they were true. I've been looking for a way out for years. This is it. This is exactly it. You can't just leave a crime family, Dae-hyun. That's not how it works. Watch me. He met her eyes steadily. I choose them. I choose you, all of you. Whatever I have to do to keep you safe, I'll do it. Aiden tugged on his sleeve. Are you really our Appa? Dae-hyun crouched down to his son's eye level. Yes. I really am. And I'm so sorry it took me this long to find you. It's okay, Aiden said with the easy forgiveness of children. You're here now. If only it were that simple. Dae-hyun glanced at Sienna, who had tears streaming down her face again. What do you want me to do? He asked her. Tell me what you need. I need. She pressed her hands to her face. I need them to be safe. I need a home that won't get condemned. I need to stop working 2 jobs just to barely survive. I need. Her voice broke. I need help, Dae-hyun. I hate that I need help, but I do. Then let me help. He stood slowly. I have a guest house on my property, completely separate from the main house. 2 bedrooms, full kitchen, private entrance. You and the twins can stay there. No strings attached. Just let me do this. No strings. Sienna's laugh was sharp. You expect me to believe that? I expect you to be as suspicious as you need to be, Dae-hyun said evenly. But I also expect you to do what's best for Aiden and Maya. And right now, what's best is accepting help from someone who actually wants to give it. Maya had moved closer, studying him with that intense gaze. Do you have a big house, Appa? The word hit him like a freight train. Appa. She'd called him Appa. Yes, he managed. Very big. With a yard and a pool. A pool? Aiden's eyes went wide. Mama, he has a pool. Sienna closed her eyes, and Dae-hyun watched her shoulders slump in defeat, or maybe relief. Temporarily, she said finally, until I can find something stable. And we pay rent. No rent. Dae-hyun. No rent, he repeated firmly. You're the mother of my children. You've been doing this alone for 6 years because I wasn't there. The least I can do is provide a safe place to live. I won't be your charity case. Then be my children's mother who needs temporary housing. Can your pride accept that? She glared at him, but there was less heat in it now. I don't trust you. I know. I don't forgive you. I know that too. And if you hurt them, if you disappear again, I will hunt you down and make sure you regret ever walking into that courtroom. Dae-hyun felt a smile tug at his lips despite everything. There's the Sienna I remember. Don't, she warned. Don't act like we're picking up where we left off. That's not what this is. I know what this is. This is me meeting my children. This is me trying to fix what I can fix. That's all. The knock on the door signaled their time was up. The social worker poked her head in. The judge is ready for you. Back in the courtroom, Dae-hyun provided his address, his identification, his willingness to undergo immediate DNA testing. The judge looked between him and Sienna with the weary expression of someone who'd seen too many broken families. Mr. Park, understand that if you're committing to this, I expect follow-through. These children don't need another disappointment. They won't be disappointed, Your Honor. You have my word. Ms. Lee, are you comfortable with this arrangement? Sienna looked at her children, then at Dae-hyun, then back at the judge. Yes, Your Honor. Temporarily. Then I'm releasing Aiden and Maya into the joint custody of both parents, pending DNA confirmation and a home inspection of Mr. Park's property within the next 72 hours. We'll reconvene in 2 weeks to assess the situation. The gavel came down. Court adjourned. Outside the courthouse, reality began to set in. Sienna had arrived by bus. Dae-hyun had his driver waiting with the Mercedes. The contrast was painful. Where are your things? He asked. At the apartment. But the landlord. I'll handle the landlord. Min, he called to his friend who'd been waiting outside. I need you to go to... He looked at Sienna questioningly. She gave the address reluctantly. Min-jae's eyebrows shot up. It was not a good neighborhood, but he just nodded. Pack everything, Dae-hyun continued. Personal belongings, important documents, everything. Hire movers if needed. And Min-jae? Pay whatever the landlord claims he's owed plus 3 months extra. I don't want any problems. On it, boss. Sienna bristled. I can pack my own things. You can, Dae-hyun agreed. But right now, I think Aiden and Maya might want to see their new temporary home. Unless you'd rather they sit in that apartment while we pack? It was a low blow and he knew it, but effective. Sienna pressed her lips together and nodded stiffly. The drive to his estate was quiet except for the twins' excited chatter about the pool. Dae-hyun watched them in the rearview mirror, still struggling to process that these children, his children, existed. Aiden had his smile. Maya had his eyebrows. Both had Sienna's resilience written in the way they held themselves. When they pulled through the gates, even Sienna couldn't hide her shock. The main house sprawled across 3 acres, all glass and modern architecture. But Dae-hyun directed the driver past it to a smaller structure set back among the trees. This is the guest house, he explained as they pulled up. Like I said, 2 bedrooms, full kitchen, private entrance. Completely separate. The guest house was nicer than anywhere Sienna had lived in 6 years, and they both knew it. She climbed out slowly, looking around with suspicious eyes, probably searching for the catch. There wasn't one. Dae-hyun had meant what he said. No strings. He unlocked the door and stepped back, letting them enter first. The space was furnished but impersonal, waiting for life to be added to it. The bedrooms are upstairs, he said. The twins can share one or take one each, whatever works. Kitchen's fully stocked. I'll have my housekeeper add anything specific you need. There's a washer and dryer in the hall closet. Wi-Fi password is on the counter. Aiden was already racing up the stairs to explore. Maya followed more carefully, her hand trailing on the railing. Sienna stood in the middle of the living room, looking lost. Why are you doing this? Because they're mine, Dae-hyun said simply. Because you needed help and I can give it. Because 6 years ago I failed you in the worst possible way, and this is the least I can do to try to make it right. You can't make it right. I know. But I can try to make it better. She turned to face him fully, and he saw the exhaustion etched in every line of her face. I don't know how to do this. How to let you help. How to trust you. How to be around you again. One day at a time, Dae-hyun suggested. Today, you have a safe place to sleep. Tomorrow we'll figure out the next step. That's all we can do. Tama, come see. Aiden was calling from upstairs. The beds are huge. Sienna's lips quirked despite herself. I should go. I'll leave you to settle in. Dae-hyun moved toward the door, then paused. My number is programmed into the house phone. If you need anything, anytime call. I'm in the main house. Dae-hyun. Her voice stopped him at the threshold. Thank you. I hate that I have to say it, but thank you. He nodded and left before the emotion choking his throat could escape. Back in the main house, reality was waiting in the form of Yoona Cho, draped elegantly across his couch like a designer accessory. Where have you been? She demanded. We were supposed to finalize the engagement announcement 3 hours ago. My mother has been calling. She stopped, taking in his expression. What happened? I have children, Dae-hyun said bluntly. Twins. 6 years old. They're living in the guest house with their mother. Yoona blinked. Twice. I'm sorry, what? You heard me. You have children. Secret children. And you've just moved them onto the property. Her voice was climbing toward hysteria. Does your family know about this? Not yet. Not yet. Yoona laughed, but there was no humor in it. Dae-hyun, we're supposed to get engaged next week. The merger between our families depends on this marriage. You can't just. I can. I am. He poured himself a whiskey, needing something to steady his hands. The engagement is off, Yoona. Off? The engagement is off. She stood, her designer heels clicking on the marble floor. Do you have any idea what you're saying? Your uncle will never allow this. My father will never allow this. This isn't just about us. This is about the alliance between our families, about power and money and criminal enterprises I want no part of anymore. Dae-hyun downed the whiskey in one gulp. I'm done, Yuna. I'm out. You're out. She stared at him like he'd grown a second head. You don't get to be out. That's not how this works. You're a park. This is your legacy, My prison, he interrupted. It's always been my prison. But now I have a reason to break free. Those children? A woman you haven't seen in 6 years? That's your reason? Yuna's perfectly made-up face twisted with contempt. You're throwing away everything for sentimentality? I'm choosing my children over blood money. If that's sentimentality, so be it. Yuna's expression shifted, calculation replacing contempt. Your uncle won't let you go. You know too much about the operations, the connections. You're a liability if you leave. Let him try to stop me. He will. And people who try to leave the Park family don't fare well, Dae-hyun. You know that better than anyone. The threat was clear, and unfortunately, accurate. His uncle had built the family's criminal empire on the bodies of those who tried to betray or leave it. But Dae-hyun had something now he hadn't had before, a reason bigger than fear. Then I'll deal with that when it comes, he said. But I'm not changing my mind. The engagement is off. Tell your father whatever you want, I don't care anymore. Yuna gathered her purse with sharp, angry movements. You'll regret this. Probably. But not as much as I'd regret abandoning my children again. She left in a cloud of expensive perfume and barely contained fury. Dae-hyun poured another whiskey and walked to the window that overlooked the guest house. A light was on upstairs, probably the twins' room. He wondered what they were doing. If they were happy. If Sienna was okay. His phone buzzed. Everything's packed and on the way. The landlord tried to cause problems, but the extra money smoothed it over. Should arrive in about 2 hours. Thank you, Min-jae. Boss, are you sure about this? Taking on a ready-made family, going against your uncle? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. The pause. Then, good. It's about time you fought for something that mattered. The next morning, Dae-hyun woke to the sound of splashing and children's laughter. He stumbled to his bedroom window and saw Aiden and Maya in the pool, Sienna watching from a deck chair in clothes clearly not meant for swimming. He was pulling on a shirt before he'd consciously decided to join them. The morning was cool, but the pool was heated. Aiden saw him first. Appa, watch me dive. The dive was more of a belly flop, but Dae-hyun applauded anyway. Very good. Maya, how about you? Maya was more cautious, easing into the water from the steps. I don't dive yet. Yama says I can learn when I'm ready. That's very wise. He glanced at Sienna, who was watching him with unreadable eyes. Good morning. Morning. Her tone was neutral, carefully controlled. They woke up at dawn wanting to see the pool. I tried to make them wait, but it's fine. This is their home now. Temporarily, he added, catching her look. They should enjoy it. Can you swim, Appa? Aiden called. I can. Show us. Show us. Dae-hyun hesitated, glancing at Sienna again. She made a small gesture that might have been permission or resignation. He stripped off his shirt and dove in, the cold water shocking his system awake. For the next hour, he played with his children. Taught Aiden to swim underwater. Helped Maya practice her backstroke. Listened to their chatter about their favorite foods, their friends from their old school, the stray cat they'd been feeding in their old neighborhood. Every detail was a piece of a life he'd missed. 6 years of firsts he'd never get back. It hurt and healed simultaneously. When the twins finally tired and climbed out to dry off in the sun, Sienna approached the pool's edge where Dae-hyun was still floating. You're good with them, she said quietly. I have 6 years to make up for. You can't make up for lost time, Dae-hyun. It doesn't work that way. I can try. She sat on the edge, dangling her feet in the water. They already love you. It's been less than 24 hours and they already love you. Do you know how terrifying that is for me? Why terrifying? Because what happens when you leave again? When your family pulls you back? When this novelty wears off and you realize being a father is hard work, not just playing in pools? I won't leave. You can't promise that. I can promise I'll fight like hell not to. He swam closer, resting his arms on the edge near her feet. I know you don't trust me. I know I haven't earned it. But I'm not going anywhere, Sienna. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't. They're already in here. He pressed a hand to his chest. It's been one day and they're already everything. Her eyes glistened. Don't say things like that if you don't mean them. I mean every word. Yama. I'm hungry. Maya called from her deck chair. Sienna pulled her feet from the water quickly. I should make them breakfast. I have a chef. Let me. No. Her voice was firm. I take care of my children. That doesn't change just because we're living here. Our children, Dae-hyun corrected gently. And I wasn't suggesting you couldn't take care of them. Just that you don't have to do everything alone anymore. She stared at him for a long moment, then stood. Come on, kids. Let's get you dried off and fed. As he watched them head back to the guest house, his phone rang. His uncle's name flashed on the screen. Dae-hyun's jaw tightened, but he answered. We need to talk, his uncle said without preamble. About your little scene at the courthouse yesterday. How did you? I know everything that happens in this family, Dae-hyun. Everything. Including surprise grandchildren and broken engagements. They're not a surprise to me anymore. And the engagement wasn't right. The engagement was necessary. As is this conversation. My office. 1 hour. The line went dead. Dae-hyun climbed out of the pool, water streaming from his body. One day. He'd had 1 day of peace with his children before reality came crashing back. But this time would be different. This time, he had something worth fighting for. His uncle's office was in downtown Los Angeles, in a building the Park family had owned for 3 generations. Every inch of it reminded Dae-hyun why he wanted out. Park Jin-woo sat behind his massive desk like a king on a throne, silver hair perfectly styled, suit custom-tailored. He gestured to the chair across from him without looking up from the papers he was reviewing. Sit. Dae-hyun sat, but on his terms, relaxed, confident. Not the obedient nephew his uncle expected. Twins, his uncle said finally, setting down his pen. With that girl you were sniffing around 6 years ago. The one I had to warn you away from. Her name is Sienna. And you didn't warn, you threatened her life. Semantics. His uncle waved a hand dismissively. The point is, you've created a complication. Children with a woman of no status, no family connections, no value to our organization. They're my children. That's their value. Sentiment. His uncle's lip curled. Your father had the same weakness. It's what got him killed. Dae-hyun's hands clenched on the armrests, but he kept his voice level. My father was killed because he tried to leave. Because he wanted out of this life. And now you think you'll succeed where he failed? His uncle laughed. You're not leaving, Dae-hyun. You're marrying Yoona Cho as planned. You're taking over the Eastern operations as planned. These children can be provided for, discreetly, but they don't change your obligations. Everything has changed. Nothing has changed. His uncle's fist slammed on the desk. You are a Park. You have responsibilities, duties, a legacy to uphold. Some illegitimate children don't alter that. They're not illegitimate. They're mine. And I'm going to be their father. While also fulfilling your role in this family. No. The word hung in the air like a blade. I'm done. I'm out. His uncle stood slowly, the movement deliberate and threatening. You know what happens to people who leave. I know what you want me to think happens. But I also know you need me. The legitimate businesses I run make up 40% of the family's income. The connections I've built, the contracts I've secured, you need those more than you need to make an example of me. Don't overestimate your importance. Don't underestimate my resolve. Dae-hyun stood as well, meeting his uncle's gaze. I have children now. The family that actually matters. I will protect them whatever it takes. Even from you. Brave words. Let's see if you can back them up. His uncle's smile was cold. You have 1 week to reconsider. After that, I won't be responsible for what happens to that woman and those children. The threat was clear. Dae-hyun felt rage burn through his veins but kept his expression neutral. If anything happens to them, if anyone so much as looks at them wrong, I'll burn everything you've built to the ground. I know where the bodies are buried, uncle. All of them. And I have documentation that would interest several federal agencies. It was a bluff, mostly, but effective. His uncle's expression flickered with uncertainty. You wouldn't. For them? I absolutely would. Dae-hyun moved toward the door. 1 week, you said? Consider this my answer. I'm out. Find another heir. He walked out before his uncle could respond, adrenaline pumping through his system. It wasn't over. Threats like his uncle's never ended with one conversation, but the line had been drawn. His phone buzzed with a text from Sienna. Home inspector just left. Passed with flying colors. Judge's office called. DNA results came back. You're officially their father. Congratulations. Despite everything, despite the danger he'd just walked into, Dae-hyun smiled. Officially their father. It was the best news he'd ever received. Over the next week, Dae-hyun fell into a rhythm with his children that felt both natural and miraculous. Mornings before their new school started, he taught them Korean phrases, basic taekwondo moves, traditional games his own father had taught him before everything went wrong. Aiden absorbed everything like a sponge, chattering in broken Korean and demanding more stories about his family history. Maya was quieter but no less engaged, watching everything with those knowing eyes, asking questions that cut straight to the heart of things. Why didn't you come before? She asked one evening while they were preparing dinner together. Dae-hyun's attempt to learn what they liked to eat. Sienna, chopping vegetables at the other counter, went still. I didn't know about you, Dae-hyun said honestly, crouching to Maya's level. If I had known, nothing would have kept me away. Nothing. Yama said you were busy being important. Your Yama was being kind. The truth is I made mistakes. And sometimes grown-ups make mistakes that hurt people they love. But I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere. Maya studied him with an intensity that reminded him painfully of himself. Promise. It was a child's request, simple and devastating. Dae-hyun knew he couldn't promise, not with his uncle's threats hanging over them, but he also couldn't break his daughter's heart with complicated truths. I promise I'll fight to stay with you every single day, he said. Is that good enough? Maya considered this, then nodded. Can you teach me how to make kimchi? I can try. I'm not very good at it. That's okay. We can learn together. Later, after the twins were asleep, Sienna found him sitting on the guesthouse porch, staring at the main house in the distance. You're thinking too loud, she said, settling into the chair beside him. I can hear it from inside. Sorry. What's wrong? And don't say nothing, I can tell when you're worried. You could always tell. He smiled slightly. It's nothing you need to worry about. Dae-hyun. She waited until he looked at her. If it involves my children, I need to worry about it. What's going on? He debated lying, but she deserved the truth. My uncle is making threats. About you and the twins. He wants me back in the family business, wants me to marry Yuna, wants everything to go back to how it was. And if you don't? Then he'll come after you. After them. The words tasted like ash. I've been working on contingencies, moving money into accounts he can't access, gathering evidence against him just in case. But Sienna, I need you to know, if anything happens, if things get dangerous, I have a safe house set up in Vancouver. Passports, documents, everything you'd need to disappear with the twins. She was quiet for a long moment. You're serious? Completely. This is the life you want to bring my children into? No. This is the life I'm trying to get us all out of. He turned to face her fully. I know it's messy and complicated and dangerous. I know you didn't sign up for any of this. But I'm doing everything I can to keep you safe while I extract myself from this family. Extract yourself? You make it sound like surgery. It is. Cutting out a cancer that's been growing my whole life. He ran a hand through his hair. My father tried to leave when I was 15. They killed him for it. Made it look like a car accident, but I knew. I always knew. Sienna's expression softened. Dae-hyun. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to be honest. You deserve honesty. You and the twins, you're everything to me now. And I will do whatever it takes to protect you, even if that means bringing down my entire family to do it. That's not protection. That's war. Then it's war. His voice was steel. I've spent my whole life being afraid of them, being controlled by them. But they made a mistake when they kept me from knowing about Aiden and Maya. Because now I have something more important than fear. Sienna reached over and took his hand, the first time she'd initiated contact since the courthouse. Don't be reckless. Don't be a hero. Just be their father. That's what they need. What about what you need? She pulled her hand back quickly as if burned. I need them safe. That's all. That's not all, but I'll respect your boundaries. He stood, stretching. I should let you sleep. Big day tomorrow, first day at their new school. Dae-hyun. She stopped him at the door. Thank you. For being honest. For trying. I'm not trying, Sienna. I'm doing. There's a difference. The twins' first day at their new private school was chaos. Aiden was excited, making friends immediately. Maya was nervous, clinging to Sienna's hand until the teacher gently coaxed her into the classroom. Dae-hyun stood in the hallway with the other parents, feeling completely out of place. Most of them had been doing this for years. He was a beginner at 6 years old, trying to compress all those missed experiences into whatever time he had left. First day, a woman next to him asked kindly. Is it that obvious? You have the look. Don't worry, it gets easier. Though I warn you, the PTA here is intense. Dae-hyun couldn't help but laugh. I think I can handle it. He was pulling out his phone to text Min-jae when it rang. A known number. Mr. Park? This is Detective Sarah Chen with the LAPD. I'm investigating connections between several criminal organizations in Los Angeles, and your name has come up in our investigation. I'd like to meet with you, if possible. Dae-hyun's blood ran cold. I'm not sure what you think I can help you with, Detective. I think you can help me put your uncle away for a very long time. And I think you might want to, especially now that you have children to protect. So his uncle wasn't the only one watching him. The realization should have been frightening, but instead, Dae-hyun felt something like hope. When and where? There's a coffee shop on 3rd Street. Giuseppe's. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Come alone and Mr. Park? Don't tell your uncle about this conversation. For your family's safety. The line went dead. That night, Dae-hyun lay awake weighing his options. Cooperating with the police meant definitively betraying his family, becoming a target not just for his uncle but for every criminal organization they did business with. It meant witness protection, possibly forever. It meant uprooting Sienna and the twins just when they'd found stability. But it also meant ending this. Truly ending it. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, a photo of Aiden and Maya leaving school that afternoon. The message was clear. His uncle knew where they went to school. Knew their schedule. Could get to them whenever he wanted. Dae-hyun was out of bed and running to the guest house before conscious thought caught up with action. He pounded on the door, not caring about the hour. Sienna answered in pajamas, hair disheveled, alarm on her face. What's wrong? He showed her the photo. Watched the color drain from her face. Pack, he said. Everything important. We're leaving. Leaving? Dae-hyun, it's 2 in the morning. I don't care what time it is. That photo was taken today. Someone followed them from school. Someone got close enough to take that picture. His voice was shaking. We're not safe here anymore. None of us are. Where are we going to go? The safe house in Vancouver. Just until I can figure this out. Vancouver? That's another country. What about their school, their things, my... Sienna. He grabbed her shoulders gently. Look at me. Your children's lives are in danger. Everything else can be replaced. They can't. She stared at him, and he watched the fight drain out of her as reality sank in. This is really happening. This is really happening. But I'm going to fix it. I promise you I'm going to fix it. How? I'm meeting with a detective tomorrow. LAPD. She's investigating my uncle. I'm going to give her everything, every file, every transaction, every name I know. I'm going to burn it all down. And then what? You think they'll just let you walk away? No. But witness protection will keep us safe. New identities, new location, new lives. New lives. Sienna's laugh was slightly hysterical. We just got this life. The twins just started school. I just started feeling like maybe things could be okay. Things will be okay. Just somewhere else. Under different names. But together. All of us together. She pressed her hands to her face, breathing hard. Then she dropped them and straightened her shoulders. Give me 30 minutes to pack. 20, Dae-hyun said. I don't want to risk them sending someone tonight. While Sienna packed, Dae-hyun woke the twins as gently as possible. Aiden was groggy and confused. Maya seemed to understand immediately that something was wrong. Are we in danger, Appa? She asked quietly. He couldn't lie to her. Yes. But I'm going to keep you safe. Do you trust me? Yes. Then I need you to help your brother get dressed and pack his favorite things. Can you do that? She nodded solemnly and took Aiden's hand, leading him to start packing. His daughter was 6 years old and already knew how to survive. The thought broke Dae-hyun's heart. By 2:30 a.m., they were in his car heading north. Sienna sat in the passenger seat, gripping the door handle. The twins were asleep in the back, exhausted from the sudden wake-up. What about the detective meeting? Sienna asked. I'll call her from the safe house. Set up a video conference. I can send her files electronically. Dae-hyun kept his eyes on the road, checking the mirrors constantly. Once she has what she needs to move on my uncle, we'll figure out next steps. Witness protection. Most likely. New names. New city. Never seeing anyone we knew again. Yes. She was quiet for several miles. Then, what would our new names be? Whatever we want them to be. The twins love their names. Aiden and Maya. Then we keep those. Just change the last name. To what? Dae-hyun glanced at her. What about Lee? Your last name. We could all be Lees. Something shifted in her expression. You take my name? Park is poison. Lee is freedom. A fresh start. A family built on choice, not blood. He reached over and squeezed her hand briefly. If you'll have us. Sienna didn't answer, but she didn't pull her hand away either. The safe house was a cabin 3 hours north of Vancouver, isolated and stocked with supplies. Dae-hyun had set it up 2 years ago when he'd first started planning his exit strategy, never imagining he'd be using it like this. He carried the sleeping twins inside while Sienna explored the space. 2 bedrooms, a loft, a kitchen that was basic but functional. Not luxurious, but safe. There's a generator out back, Dae-hyun explained, settling Maya onto one of the beds. Solar panels on the roof. Enough food for 6 months if we're careful. Internet is satellite, can't be traced. You really planned for this. I've been planning to leave for years. I just never had a good enough reason to actually do it. He looked at the twins, peaceful in sleep. Now I do. The next morning, Dae-hyun video called Detective Chin. She was a sharp-eyed woman in her 40s, professional but clearly excited when she realized what he was offering. This is everything? She asked, scrolling through the files he'd sent. Transaction records, communication logs, witness statements. Everything I could access without tipping them off that I was collecting it. There's more I can get you, but it'll take time. This is enough to start with. Mr. Park, you understand what you're doing? Once we move on this, there's no going back. I understand. And I want full immunity for myself and witness protection for my family. Done. The DA will want to depose you formally, but based on what I'm seeing here, you'll get everything you're asking for. Detective Chin leaned closer to the camera. How soon can you be in Vancouver for processing? I'm already here. Smart man. Stay put. I'll coordinate with the Canadian authorities and be in touch within 48 hours. After the call ended, Dae-hyun found Sienna on the cabin's small porch, watching the twins play in the clearing. It's done, he said. She's moving forward with charges. So we really are doing this. New lives. Witness protection. Unless you want to go back and... No. She cut him off firmly. No going back. You're right, the twins need to be safe. Everything else is secondary. She turned to look at him. But I need to know something, Dae-hyun. When this is over, when we have new names and a new city and a new life, what are we? What are you and me? It was the question he'd been waiting for and dreading. What do you want us to be? I asked you first. I want. He chose his words carefully. I want the chance to earn your trust again. To prove I'm not the man who left you 6 years ago. To be a real family with you and the twins, if you'll let me. That's a lot of wanting. I know. And I know I don't deserve it. But I'm asking anyway. Sienna looked back at the twins. Aiden was showing Maya how to skip stones on the small pond nearby. They love you already. It scares me how much they love you. And you? I don't know yet. I'm angry at you for things that weren't even your fault. I'm grateful to you for giving us safety. I'm terrified you'll leave again even though logically I know you won't. She trailed off, frustrated. I'm a mess, Dae-hyun. So am I. He moved closer, careful not to invade her space. But maybe we can be a mess together. Figure it out as we go. Is that what you want? To figure it out together? More than anything. She studied him for a long moment and he let her. Let her see his sincerity, his fear, his hope. Okay, she said finally. We'll figure it out together. But Dae-hyun? I need time. I need you to be patient with me. I'll wait as long as it takes. The next 2 days passed in a strange domestic bubble. Dae-hyun taught the twins to fish in the pond. Sienna discovered she liked cooking with the cabin's simple ingredients better than the gourmet kitchen at the estate. They fell into routines that felt almost normal. Almost. On the 3rd day, Detective Chun called with an update. We've arrested your uncle and 17 other members of the organization. The DA is confident we have enough to put them away for life. Relief flooded through Dae-hyun. And my family? We're safe. You're safe. Canadian authorities will process your paperwork for witness protections starting tomorrow. New identities should be ready within the week. What about the house in Los Angeles? Sienna's belongings. Federal agents will collect anything you specify. It'll all be moved to your new location once it's determined. After the call, Dae-hyun found Sienna in the kitchen making dinner. He wrapped his arms around her from behind without thinking, too relieved to remember boundaries. She stiffened, then slowly relaxed. Good news? They arrested him. It's over. Over. She turned in his arms to face him. Is it really? Or are we just starting a different kind of prison? It's protection, not prison. Is there a difference when you can't leave? You can leave. Once the trials are done and the threats are neutralized, you can go wherever you want. Do whatever you want. And you? I go where you go. Where the twins go. That's my choice. She searched his face. You really mean that? Every word. Yama. Appa. Come see what we made. Aiden's voice called from outside. They broke apart, but Sienna's hand caught his. Later. We talk more later. But for now, let's just be a family. Okay? Okay. Outside, the twins had built an elaborate fairy house out of sticks and moss. Maya explained the intricate design while Aiden added sound effects. Dae-hyun and Sienna sat in the grass, shoulders touching, watching their children play. This is nice, Sienna said quietly. Peaceful. I can't remember the last time things felt peaceful. Get used to it. This is what our new life is going to be. You can't promise that. I can try. She leaned her head on his shoulder, and Dae-hyun felt something in his chest unlock. Not forgiveness, not yet, but the possibility of it. A week later, they were processed into witness protection as the Lee family. Dae-hyun became Daniel Lee, consultant. Sienna remained Sienna Lee, teacher. The twins kept their first names but became Aiden Lee and Maya Lee. Their new home was in a small town in Oregon, far from Los Angeles and everything they'd known. The house was modest but comfortable, with a yard big enough for the twins to play. On their first night in the new house, after the twins were asleep, Dae-hyun and Sienna sat on the back porch with glasses of wine. Strange, Sienna said. A week ago we were running for our lives. Now we're here. Normal. Is this normal? I'm not sure I know what normal is anymore. Me neither. She took a sip of wine. But I think I like it. Yeah. She turned to look at him. Dae-hyun. Daniel, whoever you are now. I'm still figuring out how I feel about us. But I want you to know. I'm glad you found us. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad the twins have their father. And their mother has? A partner. Maybe. Eventually. If we can figure out how to be that for each other. I can work with maybe. He clinked his glass against hers. To new beginnings? To new beginnings. 6 months passed. Dae-hyun testified at the trials via video conference, watching as his uncle and the others were sentenced to life in prison. The Park family empire crumbled, seized by federal authorities. In Oregon, the Lee family flourished. Aiden and Maya loved their new school. Sienna got a job teaching at a community center. Dae-hyun started a consulting business that was actually legitimate, using his business degree for something other than laundering money. They had dinner together every night, helped with homework, attended school plays and parent-teacher conferences. Slowly, painstakingly, they built a life together. And slowly, Sienna's walls came down. It started with small touches, her hand on his arm when she laughed, sitting close on the couch during movie nights, letting him kiss her forehead when she was stressed. Then bigger things. Conversations late at night about their past, their fears, their hopes. Shared parenting decisions that became easier as they learned to trust each other's judgment. Moments where they moved together as a unit, instinctively knowing what the other needed. One evening, a year after they'd fled Los Angeles, Dae-hyun found Sienna in the kitchen of the small cafe they'd opened together, a Korean-African fusion place that had become surprisingly popular in their little town. She was experimenting with a new recipe, completely absorbed. He watched her work, marveling at how she'd transformed from the exhausted woman in the courtroom to this confident, happy person. "You're staring," she said without looking up. "Can you blame me? I'm covered in flour and probably smell like kimchi. You're perfect." She finally looked at him, flour on her cheek, a smile playing at her lips. "You're biased." "Extremely." He moved closer, wiping the flour from her face gently. "Sienna, I need to ask you something." "That sounds ominous." "It's not. I hope it's not." He took a breath. "We've been doing this family thing, for a year now. And I know we said we'd take it slow, figure it out as we go. But I need to know, are we figuring it out? Because from where I'm standing, this feels like more than just co-parenting. What does it feel like to you?" "Like the family I always wanted but never thought I could have. Like home." He cupped her face in his hands. "What does it feel like to you?" She covered his hands with hers. "Like I'm finally ready to stop being angry. Like maybe I can trust you with my heart again. Like..." She paused, eyes searching his. "It feels like love." Yeah. She pulled him down and kissed him, soft and sweet and full of promise. When they broke apart, both of them were smiling. "So what now?" Sienna asked. "Now I ask you properly." Dae-hyun pulled a small box from his pocket. "I've been carrying this around for 2 months, waiting for the right moment. And I realize there's no perfect moment. There's just us, here, now, covered in flour and kimchi." He opened the box to reveal a simple ring. "Sienna Lee, will you marry me? For real this time, not because of family obligations or criminal alliances, but because I love you and I want to spend the rest of my life proving it." Tears streamed down her face. "You're really asking me this in our restaurant kitchen? Where else? This place is us. 2 cultures, 2 lives, blended into something new and beautiful. Just like our family." "You're such a sap." "Is that a yes?" "Yes, you idiot. Yes, I'll marry you." He slid the ring onto her finger and kissed her again, longer this time, making up for 6 years of lost kisses. "Appa, Dama, are you kissing?" Aiden's delighted voice came from the doorway. They broke apart to find both twins watching them with huge grins. "Does this mean you're getting married?" Maya asked. "It does," Sienna confirmed. "Finally." Aiden pumped his fist. "Can I be the ring bearer? Can I pick the flowers?" Maya added. Dae-hyun laughed, pulling all of them into a group hug. "You can both do whatever you want. This is a family wedding." Later that night, after the twins were asleep and the cafe was closed, Dae-hyun and Sienna sat in their living room, her head on his shoulder, his arm around her waist. "You know," she said thoughtfully, "if someone had told me a year ago that I'd be here, happy, safe, in love, running a successful business, I would have laughed in their face. Life's funny that way. It's more than funny. It's miraculous. You showing up at that courthouse, as terrifying as it was, it saved us. All of us. You saved yourself, Sienna. You kept fighting for 6 years. You raised 2 incredible children alone. You survived. I just got to be part of the solution instead of part of the problem. You're more than part of the solution. She struggled for words. You're everything I never knew I needed. A partner. A protector. A father to my children. The love of my life." "Our children," he corrected gently. "Always our children." "Our children," she agreed. "Our family. Our life." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars through the window. Somewhere in Los Angeles, the Park family empire was still being dismantled. Somewhere, people were facing justice for crimes that had gone unpunished for decades. But here, in this small Oregon town, the Lee family was simply living. Loving. Thriving. And that was the best revenge Dae-hyun could imagine. Not destruction of his enemies, but the building of something beautiful from the ashes of his past. "I love you," he whispered into Sienna's hair. "I love you too," she whispered back. "Thank you for finding us. For fighting for us. For being the father the twins needed and the man I needed. Thank you for giving me a second chance. For trusting me with your heart again. For building this life with me." She tilted her head up to kiss him. "Always. For always." 3 months later, they were married in the cafe they'd built together, surrounded by the friends they'd made in their new community. Aiden and Maya stood beside them as ring bearer and flower girl, beaming with pride. When Dae-hyun kissed his bride, the twins cheered. The small crowd applauded. And for the first time in his entire life, Dae-hyun felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. Not because of blood or duty or obligation, but because of choice. Because of love. Because of family. The reception was simple but joyful. Korean bulgogi next to Sienna's grandmother's jollof rice recipe. Traditional drums and modern music. 2 cultures, 2 histories, blending seamlessly. As the sun set and the celebration wound down, Dae-hyun found himself on the cafe's small patio with his family. Sienna sat beside him, her hand in his. The twins were chasing fireflies in the garden, their laughter filling the air. "Happy?" Sienna asked. "Deliriously. No regrets." "Not a single one." He squeezed her hand. "This, right here, right now, this is everything. Even though it meant losing everything else? I didn't lose anything that mattered. I gained everything that does." Maya ran up to them, a firefly cupped gently in her hands. "Look, Appa. I caught one." "Beautiful," he said. "Now let it go so it can find its family." She opened her hands and the firefly floated away, blinking its light in the darkness. Aiden caught her hand and they ran off together, twins in perfect sync. "They're happy," Sienna observed. "They are. Are you?" She turned to look at him, eyes shining in the fading light. "I really, really am. Good. Because I plan to spend the rest of our lives making sure you stay that way. That's a big promise. I'm a man who keeps his promises now. You made me better, Sienna. You and the twins, you gave me a reason to be better. You did that yourself. I just gave you the opportunity. Then thank you for the opportunity." He pulled her close, breathing in the scent of her hair, feeling the solid warmth of her against him. "Thank you for everything." As the stars came out and the twins' laughter continued to fill the night, Dae-hyun reflected on the journey that had brought them here. From a courtroom confrontation to a crime family showdown to witness protection and finally to this moment, a family wedding in a small cafe in Oregon. It wasn't the life he'd planned. It wasn't the life anyone had planned. But it was theirs, built from scratch with love and determination and hope. And that made it perfect. If you enjoyed this story of second chances, family bonds, and choosing love over legacy, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more emotional storytelling. Drop a comment below telling us what you think. Would you have made the same choices Dae-hyun did? What would you sacrifice for family? Your thoughts and engagement help us create more content like this. And if you know someone who believes in the power of redemption and second chances, share this story with them. Thanks for watching, and remember, it's never too late to choose the life you want to live.